Hello everyone, this is Jason again. Today we're going to look at types of prose writing. Prose writing is very common in our lives, including novels, essays, short stories, news articles, uh, even like essays in journal articles. So these articles cover a wide range of topics that maybe an author wants you to know something, express an opinion. So this is actually a very common form of writing. So let's learn how to write this kind of essay together. First, let's get a big picture of the types of prose writing. Okay, so when we talk about types of prose writing, there are three major categories. The first one is expository. There are many, including process essay, or you want to define something, we have a definition, or you want to explain the cause effect, we have a causation, comparison and contrast, or classification. So these are actually the subcategories of expository. And the second is persuasive, right? To persuade people, believe something that you believe, right? Okay, so you can also call this kind of type of writing usually involves an argument, so it's argumentative, right? So we can call this type of kind of essay called argumentative essay or argument essay. Chinese we say just 论说文. Okay, so it's argumentative, right? So that means that involves an argument that sometimes is debatable. Expressive, try to actually express your feelings. That include also two subcategories. One is narrative. Narrate means to tell, usually to tell a story, right? So just like you go to Japan and after you come back to Taiwan, you write a story about something you see, right, in Japan, right? So like your diary could be a narrative style. Descriptive is use your five senses to talk about something that you see, you hear. Usually is try to create a mental picture of something that you see, and then the mental picture can actually be generated by the reader or the audience. Okay, so these are the types of prose writing, and today we're going to focus on our argumentative, also called argument essay. So let's first take a look at the definition. Okay, all right, here it says argument essay, also known as persuasive essay, are a form of academic or persuasive writing in which the writer takes a stance on a particular issue or topic, or use logical reasoning, evidence, rhetorical strategy to persuade the audience to adopt their point of view or taken a specific action. So that's why you persuade somebody into doing something, right? Or persuade somebody to believe what you believe. These essays are characterized by the presentation of a clear, debatable thesis statement, supported by the well-structured arguments and counter-arguments. Counter-arguments means 反论, right? Means that you have an argument. Sometimes you hear the opposite, okay, point of view, and try to balance, or sometimes you want to refute, right? So that's refute means you want to prove something is wrong, right? That's refute, 驳斥. So it's actually a counter argument, right? So 用反驳性的这种理论来建立起一些你的论点. Maybe it's actually try to bust a myth. Myth 就是我们一些迷思啊, right? So that's why it's counter, means against, counter argument. Okay, so the primary goal of an argument essay is to convince the reader of the validity of the writer's argument by presenting a compelling case and addressing potential objections and opposing viewpoints. Okay, so you have seen that the structure of essay, first you have a thesis statement, right? So thesis statement is usually your central argument. Okay, then also you have to provide evidence, Okay. All right. So basically, when you are writing an argument essay, you have to write your support. Okay. And remember, when we talk about support, okay, we talk about topic sentence. Usually, you need to provide evidence to support your topic sentence, right? The topic sentence usually is a general argument. Why is general? Because usually it states something that you believe, okay? And then it's an assertion or a claim. And when you say something is true, you have to prove it. So you have to include some facts, example, definition, illustration. Illustration means further explanation, all right? Or maybe describe it, all right? So describe something you see or some phenomenon, okay? These are called evidence, so you have to prove it, okay? And usually we have two types of statements in writing, okay? The first is general statement. General statements means it's not specific, okay? And so since it's not specific, it just provides a broad view of the topic. And the other type is called a specific. Specific means you narrow down something on a specific aspect, all right? So you focus readers' attention on specific feature of the main ideas. Well, in Chinese, we usually have this phrase called 夹议夹叙. So, 议 means your argument, okay? 叙 means your evidence, your support. So, you say something is true, and you have to prove it, okay? So, by giving facts, by giving examples, definition, illustration means you describe the details, what you see, observation. This is especially in maybe like some journal articles. You see that the process of the experiment, okay, and then you have a results. Explanations of some kind, like a quotation or research finding, especially research findings, they are preferred in the journal articles, okay. So this is what we call evidence, okay. So for example, let's take a look at this sentence. So why I call this sentence is general, because you see, when you say, even though I have a pretty good pay, working in that factory was a terrible job. So this could be your topic sentence, because you want the reader knows that this job was terrible, but the pay was pretty good, right? But in what way the pay is good? You know, everyone has its own definition, right? You have this viewpoint telling me that it's pretty good and the job, was terrible. So I need to know more details. Okay, so this is your support, maybe your support, right? Just the pay was, 120 an hour. The job was boring. All day I was grinding, polishing metals to make cars smooth. I stood on my feet all day, every day for 8 hours. The factory was always smelly and noisy. So from these, details, this is actually the evidence that tells me that the job was pretty good. Maybe you think that 120 an hour is good enough. Well, it depends on, the type of job, right? Okay, and all day I was grinding, polishing. So these details telling me that it's noisy, right? Okay, all day you have to stand for 8 hours, smelly, noisy. So why I said 夹议夹叙, you need to provide, okay, examples, okay, and the examples need to support your topic sentence. Okay, so this is actually when you are writing an argument essay, you should know that you need to always support your topic with enough evidence. All right, so actually you can write this down. Evidence includes facts, examples, definitions, illustration, and explanation. So you can actually include any of this. You don't have to include all of them, but maybe some of them, okay? So to help you to explain, okay? All right, so let's go back to your handout. All right, next let's take a look at the essay prompt. So what is an essay prompt? Prompt is some kind of a 提示, right? So that tells you what you need to do, okay? So usually it's kind of words or instructions that tell you what you should do, what you should include, right? Okay. So when we talk about accept prompts, this is a very important when you are taking exam, because in an exam usually you have to write an essay, maybe 200 250 words in length, and you actually need to pay attention what the questions want you to do. Okay, so accept prompts are specific, usually open-ended questions or statements with specific verbs to guide the writer's focus and content. So they are verbs. Usually you will see that a statement that begins with a verb. So that means you have to focus on what the questions want you to do. All right. There are four major types of requirements, including record, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Okay. So here is the definition for these four types. And there are some synonyms, right? All right, some synonyms. So when you see words like define, that means you actually need to tell me what this means, right? Okay, so you have to actually use your memory, right? So recall is obviously try to actually think of something, right? The knowledge you have, okay? So when you think of something, you can make a list. So if the prompts ask you to describe something or make a list of something, you have to use your memory, and sometimes use your five senses, right, to explain what you see, and then the phenomenon. Okay, so this is actually the first type, right? The second type is analysis. Try to analyze something. You don't just remember it. You actually need to tell me exams in detail. Sometimes when you see, tell me how to make a car or try to build a PC. Now you actually need to give me the steps, right? Right. So you make a list of the steps, okay, and then you try to explain in detail. And also sometimes you need to tell me what should go first, what goes first, and what comes next. Okay, so you have to determine the process. So it's very common type. You usually in exams, usually are these two types are the most common types, recall or analysis. You will see different verbs. And so when the question requires you to compare and contrast, you don't just make a list of something you know. You have to actually make a list of maybe some advantages or disadvantages, and then compare the pros and cons of something. For example, talking about the internet, the mobile phone, how does the mobile phone, the smartphone influence our life? So you have to compare, and so you can actually use some examples in life, and then make a list of the advantages and disadvantages and discuss each. Okay. Then the next type is synthesis. Wow, this is actually a higher level of skill. So you don't just analyze it. You have to actually maybe combine or integrate or draw from different sources. Okay, so if you want to compare with and that, sometimes the question asks you to compare from these two. Maybe you have two totally different points of view, and then you actually need to compare. So especially like TOEFL writing, sometimes you need to compare two articles. One is against, one is for, right? And then you have to reconcile the points, summarize it, and compare, okay, together. And so here we have some examples. Let's take a look at these examples together. So you see that the question begins with a verb, like a synthesized information from the three provided articles to present a well-supported argument on the impact of social media on mental health. So obviously, these three articles are basically about the impact of social media, maybe like a Facebook or Meta, now it's called Meta, on the mental health, all right, or like TikTok, right? Okay, so you probably can see there must be three articles that provided first. So you have to read, understand them first, and then summarize some key points from the article, and probably reconcile, compare, and then there's a gap between ideas, right? So you have to actually synthesize them and try to think about your central argument is against or for, okay, and why or why not. So you have to draw to your own conclusion, and based on these three articles. So it's a very difficult sometimes, all right. Integrate the second. Take a look at second example. Integrate data from recent scientific studies and experts' opinion to create a comprehensive overview of cause and consequence of climate change in your essay. So it seems that this kind of essay should be long because you have to actually draw data from different studies, okay, and experts' opinions. Some may actually think that climate change is not really true, okay, and some may say, oh, it's there, it's almost everywhere, right? Okay, so it's really that's the global warming is happening or not. Not the fact is true, but in what way is true? Okay, so you have to quote, quote. Do you know this word quote? Quote from, try to actually quote. You quote some evidence from maybe findings from scientific journals. Incorporate insights, okay, probably the same thing. So multiple academic disciplines, right, such as history, sociology, economics, right, and to analyze the impact of industrial revolution on societal structures. The last one, drawn from classical literature. Okay, so it seems that this could be questions in maybe like essays in the English department. You have the midterm exams. You can actually ask you to compare, and the two, works or three works. Now you have to give examples. Okay, so this is actually synthesized. You can use different verbs. So the higher skill actually cover the lower skill. So synthesis actually encompass recall and analysis. And of course, the highest level is evaluate. Now, of course, evaluate means that you don't just compare, it combine things. You need to actually show your opinions. What's your stance on this? Criticize it. So this is actually a higher level. So you will probably see verbs like critique, all right, and comment, evaluate, or criticize. These are all very common verbs, right? Okay, so next time when you see this, you know that you probably need to write a very long essay. Okay, here are three examples. Let's take a look at the first two. Comment on effectiveness of the new educational curriculum, offering an evaluation of how it aligns with educational goals and student needs. So you can see this is a broad topic. You have to focus on the educational goals and students' needs. So of course you may quote, from different sources. Later you actually need to draw to your conclusion. You have to comment. So what about your own stance? What about your own perspective? Right? Okay. Next one, critique the marketing strategy of a selected company. Identify both effective tactics and areas that need improvement to enhance the company's brand presence. Wow. So this is actually marketing strategies related to the company. So maybe you have some successful cases, maybe some not so successful cases. Okay, so compare the success and failure. Okay, right, so this is actually help you to understand. Now when you see these verbs, instructional words, you should pay attention what you should include. Okay, so this is essay prompts. All right, so you have a exercise, on the Moodle, not here. So I think you can just do it on the Moodle yourself. Okay. The next, let's take a look at the walls of reasoning. How do you actually support your ideas? Okay, so when you want to support your ideas, you have a fundamental structure, like you have a topic, then you have a claim, then you have evidence. Okay, so usually you begin your paragraph with a topic sentence, all right? And then if you want, you can also add a claim. A claim is you want to focus, on certain aspect of the topic. Okay, for example, let's take a look at here. Uh, this is about the climate change and its impact on biodiversity. So the topic sentence begins like this. In recent decades, the issue of climate change has taken center stage as one of the most pressing challenges facing our planet. So the topic is about climate change, and it has become the center of all the topics, right? And pressing challenges. Okay, so it's challenge, but it also is urgent, right? And then you want to focus on what challenge, right? So you can see the words in red tells you the claim. Okay, global temperatures continue to rise. Ecosystems worldwide are undergoing significant transformation. So the authors want to focus on what challenge. Okay, the ecosystem worldwide are undergoing significant transformation. Okay, so it seems quite clear that you need to support, your claim by giving me some evidence. Okay, so let's take a look at here. It says numerous scientific studies have documented the shifts in species habitats, migration patterns, and reproductive behaviors. So you can see studies shows, right? Okay, so remember, I just talk about when you want to actually support your topic sentence, you can include facts, examples, definitions, illustrations, or explanation. So the last category is strong, right? It's stronger than some facts example. You can give facts example, yeah, and then everybody knows that. Like your personal experience is example. But that's not strong enough. If you really want to persuade your reader, sometimes you need to have some quotation. Quotations means that some expert's opinion, and the expert's opinion usually is based on some research findings, right? So you can quote some research finding, and then that makes your support very strong. Okay, all right, so here it continues, it says, for instance, research on the marine life reveals that warmer ocean waters affect fish species distribution, push them toward higher latitudes in search of the suitable temperature ranges. Okay, so I think you can continue to finish this paragraph, reading this paragraph, and that tells you that, yeah, you want to focus on, the undergoing significant transformation. You have to tell me, in what way, this is actually happening. Okay. Okay, so this is the example, and here you have an exercise. Now, I want to actually choose choose from this three, paragraphs. Basically, these are the support, right? Okay, and please read carefully. Here we have a topic sentence. Then here is the claim. Okay, so after you read this topic sentence and the claim, choose what is the best support, okay, for the following sentences. Now you have a lot of sentences here. Now I want to actually read carefully. Probably you read the first half of the paragraph, you can determine which one is good, which is not good, because, well, the topic is quite clear. It's weaken personal relationship and social skills, and it says potentially. So that's things that is a hedging word. Potentially, this is not 100%, but the author try to express his or her stance here. Okay, so read and then determine which one is the best support for this topic. Okay, and the next is about transition words. Transition words in Chinese we call 转折语. All right. So why transition words are important? Because transition word can help you to tell the shift in the flow of the ideas. You know, so you have this idea, and then you move on toward the other idea. So what's the connection between the two ideas? You know, sometimes you want to emphasize a point. Sometimes you want to provide examples. Sometimes you want to say something opposite, you know, contrary to something you just said. So this is actually very important in writing. We do not just use, you know, sentences. Sometimes we also have some adverbs, 副词, that can actually shows us the relationship between the ideas. Okay, so here are some common transition words, and I put it in different categories for you to remember, right? And you can remember as many as you can, but at least you can choose one or two from each category, okay? And then in writing, it can help you to, you know, express the connection between the points, right? Here is another exercise for you to do. You can try to actually fill in the blanks, okay, with the words provided here, okay? So try to read carefully and then determine, you know, which is the suitable, okay, transition words here between the two sentences. Okay, so I hope this exercise can help you understand how to write an argument essay. Basically, first pay attention to the essay prompt, right? Second, the routes of reasoning. Okay, you have topic sentence, claim, evidence, and then continue. Okay, the next paragraph is the same thing: topic sentence, claim, evidence. Okay, and then the next sentence is the same. The next paragraph is the same: topic sentence, claim, evidence. Okay, and don't forget to use transition words, you know, to help you to connect ideas. Okay, that's all for this argument essay.